Welcome back to another Alvado video. Now in today's video we're going to be watching a game played by Spencer TFT. If you don't know who Spencer TFT is, he is basically your favorite streamer's favorite streamer. He is an OG. He's good friends with people like Kyun, Soju, Milk, Prestovin, that whole gang, and they often go to him for advice because he has just extremely solid fundamentals. Now, the theme for today's video is going to basically be when you need to know how to pivot your comp and understanding the strength of hero augments or just augments in general. Now, before we get into this video, of course, I'm going to have to ask you to subscribe. I am trying to grow my channel, so I'd appreciate it if you did that. Now, let's get into this game. He started Sword. He got dropped Cloak and Chain, and we can now see the first hero augment of the game. Edgelord, Steadfast Presence, everyone goes boom. He takes a second to look up the stats on these. You know, Steadfast Presence and Edgelord are decent, but the thing is that he doesn't really want to play 1-cost hero augment when he has the chance of hitting a stronger 2-cost hero augment to play around. And he doesn't have good items for Edgelord, so he doesn't end up going for that. He ends up re-rolling, and he finds League of Draven, or not League of Draven, Ruthless Blades. League of Draven is the carry one, this one is the support one. So Ruthless Blades is the augment that gives your team 75% crit rate if you have Draven on your board. Now he found Underground there, so he ended up putting in Underground, so he's not going to be utilizing the augment right now. But I do want to talk about the augment later, and I'm going to skip ahead because he basically just has Underground in for the entirety of the first stage. Okay, we're going to start from this spot. He just went for Glove Up of Carousel. He's gonna want to make IE because of this Draven hero augment. He really needs his ability to crit. But of course, he's not going to make anything yet because he's trying to 5 loss. Now, he just hit his Underground cash out here, and we're going to watch that, and then I'm going to direct your attention to tactics.tools for a second. So it's Glove and Gold. He goes ahead and just takes it, and then he's going to solidify this 5 loss. Okay, so now I want to show you this. This is basically augments that you can look up stats on with the website tactics.tools, and this is augment pairs. So we can see how strong augments are when 2 of them are paired together in one game. I'll have it selected on win rate. So whichever has the highest win rate is going to be shown at the top. But the thing is that the second most important thing to understand is that you need to know how many games of, you know, this item pair or of this augment pair has been played. So we want to find the first one that has the most games so that we can see like the first one that has like the most consistent success. And we can see that the first one that has a lot of games is Lasercore Heart into Lasercore Crest. I'm sure you can understand why that one is really powerful, because you can hit 9 Lasercore on level 8 and then you're stable, and then you can go level 9, you can get 2-star 5 costs, so you can win the game from there. But the next one is what I wanted to show you, which is Ruthless Blades into Jeweled Lotus. Now that one is the next one with the highest amount of games played while also having among the highest win rate. And the reason why that one is so strong is because this Draven augment gives your team basically 100% crit chance. Units automatically gain 25% crit chance, and then with this Draven augment they get 75 on top of that. You have 100% crit rate, but the issue is that your unit's abilities can't crit for free. You need to build either IE or JG. But Jeweled Lotus just makes it so that every single unit on your boards can crit. Their abilities can crit. So you don't even need to build any form of IE or JG, and you can just build full damage. And then, you know, with all the crit rate that you have, and then the fact that you can only build damage items, you start doing like ridiculous amounts of damage, and that item pair combination is basically like one of the strongest you can get in the game. And understanding how strong certain augments are is extremely important for, you know, climbing, because sometimes you can just get an augment combination that just gives you like a free streak, and that's like half the reason why you get a top 4 for free. At the end of the day, you want to play this game to get as many top 4s as possible, and sometimes, you know, just understanding one interaction can just give you a free top 4. Now, he doesn't actually get Jeweled Lotus in this game, but I just wanted to like bring that fact up to you guys. And his idea was he was going to play around Draven. A lot of people see the Ruthless Blades augment and they're like, oh, it's tied to Draven. So that means I have to play Draven. No, you don't have to play Draven. Do not do that. Do not always just consider playing one thing. You really need to make sure you stay flexible, and this, you know, the Draven support augment is for your entire team. So you can, all you need to do is just be playing Draven on your board, and then you can turn, you know, any carry in the game into like a god unit because they have so much crit rate. So he was planning on playing Draven. He's rolling above level 6. But what ends up happening is that he doesn't actually find that many Dravens. So he chooses to not actually play, you know, Draven reroll. Now that comp is really strong right now, but of course that comp requires you to actually be hitting Dravens, and if he's not going to be hitting Dravens, then it just doesn't really make any sense. Now he was very, you know, he had like no HP. He was very unhealthy going into stage 3 since he 5 lost and he was basically like full open. He went into stage 3 at like 58 health. And then he lost. And then you can see he won 3 times and then he lost here. So he didn't even streak into wolves. He doesn't have that much money because he's been rolling above level 6. And he's really not that healthy. So his spot is really not that good if he's trying to, you know, try and get a top 4. And it's not that good if he's trying to play Draven because he doesn't have like any Dravens. So since he literally only has one Draven, he chooses, you know what, I'm just gonna level to 7 and roll down and maybe I hit something. And he actually ends up hitting this Bel'Veth too. And then now he's gonna itemize this Bel'Veth. And in combination with the Bel'Veth buffs and the strength of this Draven hero augment, this Bel'Veth means that he is stable for the rest of stage 4. Basically even like the rest of stage 5 almost. This Axiom Arc, Second Wind, and Tome of Traits. He didn't want Axiom Arc, he didn't want Tome. Doesn't really need any traits in specific. If he did want one, then he would want it on Bel'Veth, but he already has 3 on Bel'Veth. Can't like remake it anyways. So he just goes for Second Wind. Again, Second Wind is a pretty solid augment. He also ended up going for Future Sight. I didn't catch that, but you know, so he's gonna be sweating his positioning pretty much for the entire game because he has this Zephyr. And then also with the items that he got dropped, he ends up making, you know, IE, BT. You can see he's got this Locket, and then he has another Zephyr. Those items are all over the place. His composition is all over the place. Playing Supers Bel'Veth. He just has like, you know, just some random, he just has like a Zac 1, he has like a random Jax. But the thing is that in combination with a 3-item Bel'Veth 2, like a 2.5 item Bel'Veth 2 basically. If you didn't know, Zephyr actually gives you 15% attack speed. They did change that this set. So it's not, you know, useless on Bel'Veth, but, you know, obviously you would want basically any other item other than Zephyr. So he basically has like 2.5 item Bel'Veth. But he's just able to stabilize around that because he rolled down so much above level 6, so his frontline, you know, he still has upgraded frontline units. Basically every unit on his board is upgraded except for this Zac and this Draven. But Zac being upgraded at this point in time of the game is not too important. And then Draven he just has on his board so that he can give everyone, you know, crit. So he ends up going for Last Whisper off of Carousel, and you can see that he makes sure that he has Draven same side as this Bel'Veth. So the Draven is shredding the armor, and then the Bel'Veth is just making use of the you know, the armor reduction and is basically just, you know, obliterating any unit that has the reduced. This next fight is extremely close. I kind of want to show you exactly how he was able to turn this fight into a win. You can see that he had Future Sight, so he Zephyred the Heart Zoe, but not only that, he also Zephyred the Syndra. Just Zephyring any Heart unit in a Heart comp is extremely strong because they, you know, they ramp their AP with all their casts. So if you can Zephyr them, then it's basically like you're just lowering the amount of AP that their entire team gets. You saw how close that fight was. Belveth kind of smurfed for a second there. That's me on Belveth. Just kidding. I don't play League. Yeah, if you're struggling and finding some form of consistency when you're trying to climb, one suggestion that I might add is maybe just take a picture of your augments when you get them shown or record them in some way. And after the game ends, look at the augment that you chose and try and look at the stats of all of the augments. Now, I don't suggest that you always, you know, choose an augment based on the highest stats that it has, because there's a lot of times that there's so many other factors at hand that you may not be considering, that the stats aren't, you know, the best representation of why an augment is good or bad. But just understanding the stats at like a fundamental level can often help you just understand which augments are stronger and which augments are weaker. You can see he leveled to 8 here and he rolled it down. He's pivoting his board into basically just a stronger board. I mean, at the end of the day, there are no like exact like comps that guarantee a win, right? And now that the meta is extremely flex, he's just rolling for good frontline units and good backline units. So his comp, he was just holding on to threats. He found some threat pairs. He has, you know, just found this Zac too. But he's got, you know, Zac, Fiddlesticks, Cho'Gath frontline, and he even puts this Asol in the front because he has this Locket. And then he just finds a random Samira too, so he's like, okay, that's just like the strongest AD unit that I can play right now. He's even dropping Ace, like he's losing out on Ace because Samira isn't his main carry, so he doesn't actually care too much about Ace, and he just wants like the strongest unit that can help provide armor shred with the Last Whisper. So he just puts in Samira 2, gives it the Last Whisper, and yeah. And he's going to look to itemize it later. Or he's going to look to itemize it, you know, further. And eventually, he's going to want to cap his board with Aphelios too. If you've watched any of my, you know, YouTube shorts or in some of my previous videos, I talked about how Aphelios 2 is actually the strongest cap, like the highest cap that you can get to in this meta because of the buffs to Aphelios, which I think is good because, you know, Aphelios is basically one of the only 5 costs where his entire kit is based on him dealing damage. Now you can use the stun gun, but you have to choose either one or the other, damage or stun. It's not like he always has CC built in. But if you look at a lot of the other 5 costs, they always provide something else. You know, Mordekaiser provides MR Shred, Fiddlesticks provides CC, Nunu is like kind of just weird. Janna, CC, Urgot, he does damage, but he also, you know, provides CC, and then he also gives you gold. But Aphelios is the only 5 cost in the game where his entire power budget is all in, you know, him dealing damage. So it makes sense that he should be strong. Okay. So I mean, yeah, look at his spot now. Like, think about what his board was like on like 3-5 or whatever. I don't know when he chose to. Yeah, he chose to roll down on 4-1, but his spot on 3-5 was not looking that good. He had like 40 gold. He was level 6. He was, you know, his board had like nothing. It was like a Belveth 1, Draven 1, and then just some random frontline garbage. But yeah, I mean, he's utilizing the strength of this Draven augment. He understands when his board is stable and when it is not. And when your board is stable, you know, you don't have to roll anymore. So as soon as he hit this Belveth 2, he didn't have to roll until he hit stage 5. And then he just rolled some more on level 8. Then his board was stable. And when your board is stable, you're not going to lose that much HP. He was 58 health going into stage 3. You can see he only lost, 24 HP since then. So he just understood, you know, when he needed to stop rolling, and then he could econ up and, you know, get to further stages in the game. Even this Samira, you could barely see it there, but he checked his damage. Even the Samira without Ace, now that has 3 items, is doing ridiculous damage. And that is, of course, because he has this Ruthless Blades hero augment. Samira with Guard Breaker and Last Whisper giving crit as well means that Samira's auto attacks are doing like massive damage. See that he's still sweating his positioning, trying to make sure that he gets the most value out of these Zephyrs that he built. You know, he wants to make use of this silver hero augment that he has. He ends up losing the fight, but the thing is that he's not even close to being capped yet. He's sitting on 50 gold. He's gonna try and sack one more. He's gonna try and win one and sack one. He's looking for this Aphelios too. He rolls pretty deep for it. Not able to find it. Finally gets this Draven too. Imagine if he committed to playing Draven. Now obviously, he for sure would have found more Dravens if he stayed on level 6. But this is the first point in time of the game where he has a Draven 2 and it's stage 6. He got a Draven for free because of the augment. Okay, so you see how he wins one there. Now he doesn't, you know, he doesn't really need to roll as much. Yeah, like he's not gonna roll. Oh, actually he does roll here. I guess he does. He's sitting on a Aphelios pair, so it makes sense to roll, I guess. But the thing is, I don't think he can die. From 19 HP, he would need to get, I think, 7-0'd. He's not going to get 7-0'd. But yeah, he's going to transfer these items to Aphelios once he hits Aphelios 2. Since he has, you know, this Samira, he can just drop the Samira. He's thinking about dropping Belveth. Actually, does he drop Belveth? No, he just drops Samira. You can see he puts the items on the other one because he either hits or he loses. So he's just never going to sell this other Aphelios because he basically just needs to hit. Goes for Rabadons here. Gonna put that on Fiddlesticks. Doesn't need Samira because he's just looking for Aphelios. He rolls down literally all of his gold. He hits Fiddlesticks, and then he has to sell his Urgot pair, and he just puts in a random Silas. But yeah, he actually rolled all the way down to like his like the last amount of gold that he had, and then he even sold something on his board because it was so important for him to hit this Aphelios too. You can see he wins the fight because of that, and I mean that's just like a well-played game. So what did we learn? We learned that you know, you need to understand how strong hero augments are, and you need to make sure that you stay flexible. He was trying to play Draven, pivoted because he just didn't hit enough units in the comp. He had enough econ where he could have done it anyways. That's also why it's really important to stay above 50 gold. Yeah, I hope you learned something in this video. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.